Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都还难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Mr. Tony Reed in the studio. Hi, Tony.
Niuniu, what's going on? It's a pleasure to be here, and we're talking about something I really enjoy.
Oh, I love it. I love when I pick a topic and you like it. So, tell me, what is it that you're really enjoying and I found the right topic about?
Well, I have a really strange and unusual diet, so every day I have to cook my own meals. So for some people, cooking is something that they absolutely loathe, but for me, I actually enjoy it.
You love cooking.
Yes.
That is really nice. And I have to say, you don't have a very strange diet. It's just a healthy diet that you choose.
Are you kidding me? I don't eat meat, and I don't eat dairy, any animal products at all.
Yeah.
So veganism is
so vegan.
For a lot of people, it's very strange and unusual.
Well, it's just a choice. And you cook your own food and you enjoy doing it. That is, well, I would say that is a gift. Because I can cook. I used to enjoy it.
Cook?
A little bit, yeah, I can cook. For a lot of Chinese students who have the experience of studying abroad, we have to cook because there was just no food for us. And the Chinese restaurants are not Chinese enough and also very expensive.
Boiling noodles is not exactly cooking either, you know.
Oh, I do multiple dishes.
Okay. All right.
So essentially, I think our key word here is 烹饪.
烹饪.
烹饪, that is a high-end word for cooking. You can always say 做饭.
做饭.
Yeah, that's the one that we're more
It's more
or less
colloquial.
familiar with.
Right.
Yes, 做饭. But I would definitely say, when I say it's a gift that you love cooking, that's because for me, I can cook, still can cook, but I don't enjoy cooking.
Exactly. Like most people,
can't.
they don't like cooking.
I don't enjoy cooking.
So they would rather just order something out, right?
Oh, yeah, I do that a lot. But being able to enjoy cooking,
You pay for it one way or another.
and to have that soothing, calming feeling that you're enjoying life, that you're slowly prepare for something that you are also going to enjoy a lot a bit later. It's nice.
Yes, I agree.
So, in today's episode, we're going to, well, not only talk about why Tony loves cooking so much, but also introduce to you some Chinese cooking method. Because I'm telling you, there are a lot of verbs out there as a Chinese cooking method that you might not be familiar with, but it can be fun.
I might not need.
Oh, yeah, perhaps.
Or might not use.
You're going to use them. You might not, need them in your diet
You
or
hear
cooking
that guy?
process.
She's threatening me. You're going to use them.
But you're going to use them.
Okay.
All right. So for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and in this sense, Chinese cuisine, and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, CRI Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 你喜欢做饭吗？一般，不是特别喜欢，但是我喜欢烘焙。软乎乎、香喷喷、刚出炉的小面包太治愈了。我喜欢做饭。也是因为这个，认真烹饪的时候，仿佛所有的烦恼都消失了。认真切菜、备料， 然后煎炒烹炸太解压了。
Sounds like somebody's trying to sell cookie, like a saleswoman or a salesperson is trying to sell cooking to people. Yeah, not very natural way of describing it, but yeah, it's
a little bit poetic.
Yeah, it's a little bit too over the top, honestly.
But for some people, it's their sanctuary, their kitchen. So for them, they have to use the big words to describe their cooking process.
Okay,
and after today, you're going to be able to do that as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, so for the first sentence, 你喜欢做饭吗?
So this is, do you like cooking?
Precisely.
So 你 is you, 喜欢 is like, right? 做饭 is cooking, 吗 is the question.
Yeah, whether or not. 你喜欢做饭吗?
Pretty straightforward here.
Pretty straightforward, and if this is your first several times listening to the show, you would find 你喜欢 something 吗 a quite useful sentence structure. 你喜欢做饭吗? Do you like cooking? 你喜欢工作吗? Do you like working?
Right.
你喜欢运动吗? Do you like exercising? It's just a very basic structure.
健身, right?
Yeah, 你喜欢健身吗?
Right.
Perfect. 一般不是特别喜欢，但是我喜欢烘焙，软乎乎、香喷喷、刚出炉的小面包太治愈了。
So this is not really, just a little bit, not very much, but I like baking. Soft, delicious, freshly baked buns are quite healing for me. Healing.
It has the healing power for your heart.
Probably not so good for your heart, but it's comfort food,
Yeah,
right?
it's comfort food, yes.
Yeah. All right, so 一般.
一般
This is generally speaking, right?
一般 can be generally speaking, but it can also be mediocre, just so-so. So in this sentence, because you were asked whether or not you enjoy cooking, and the answer here is, I cannot say I like it, I cannot say I don't like it. It's just, so-so. It means that.
Okay, so just not good, not bad.
Not good, not bad.
It's aight. That's what we say in English.
Again?
No R. Just it's aight.
It's aight.
Yeah.
Okay, 一般.
Okay.
You can also say 一般般, by the way.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
一般般, that means like a little bit, right?
Meh, it means that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
不是, that means it's not. 特别, this is special, right? And also 喜欢, like.
So I don't like it very much. So
I don't like it, especially like it.
Yeah.
And then 但是 is but. 我喜欢 is I like. 烘焙. So 烘焙, this is baking.
烘焙, baking, yes. So both 烘and 焙, these two characters carry the meaning of bake something or to roast something, to use fire to cook something. But we know it's baking, it's putting together. They are putting together, this word is baking. It's about pastry, roasting meat. Cannot fall into the category of 烘焙 anymore.
Really? Okay. So what about baking bread or baking potato?
Yeah,
what about potatoes?
I don't think potatoes count.
Okay. Because you can bake a lot of things when the word bake encompasses just anything you put in the oven for a long period of time. So what about baking cookies?
Baking cookies works. Pastry.
Okay, so it has to be a pastry.
Yeah, in my understanding, it has to be a pastry. If you're saying 我喜欢烘焙, of course, you're saying you love oven and you put things in your oven to create food. But I always associate baking, 烘焙 in Chinese, with beautiful oven, a lot of dough, delicious, soft, and most occasions, sweet pastry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I bake vegetables. Like I'll put some asparagus in the oven for 20 minutes under low heat, and that's kind of baking. And when you eat it, it's it's kind of toasty a little bit on the outside, but crunchy on the inside.
I think from a language perspective, you can basically always use 烘焙 to talk about baking. But I'm not really sure for personal understandings what would this word 烘焙 constitute.
Okay.
Maybe it can be a little bit different for different people.
But people will understand if you say 烘焙.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, got it. 软乎乎.
软乎乎.
So this sounds like a cute expression
Of
I think
soft.
呼呼 means soft, yeah?
No, 软 means soft. 软乎乎 is just a correlation, a set phrase you use to, a cute way to say soft.
Okay.
It's like softy soft.
Okay, squishy squishy.
Yeah, something like that. And also 香喷喷.
香喷喷.
Another cute way.
This is something for, so 香 is smell. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's something related to something smelling good.
Smelling good. 香喷喷.
And then 刚出炉.
刚出炉.
So this is another expression. I know 出炉 is like something out of the oven.
Yeah. So 刚 is just. So 刚出炉 actually means freshly off the oven.
Okay, freshly
刚
out
出
of the
炉.
oven. And then the, so freshly out of the oven. 小面包.
小面包.
So it's like, what is that? Small noodle something?
Actually, 面包 is bread.
Okay.
小面包.
Yeah, because mian is normally like noodles, right?
Yeah,
by
but
itself.
it can also mean flour. And when it means flour, it can mean, flour-made stuff, pastry. 小面包 would be little.
Isn't bao like a dumpling?
包子 is dumpling, but 面包 itself means bread.
Okay. Mian bao. Okay. And then tai, which means to.
Or very.
And then 治愈了.
治愈.
治愈了. So 治愈, this is heal.
Heal. So 治愈. Nowadays, people use this word very often to represent the kind of, comforting, healing effect on one's soul rather than body.
Okay.
治愈. Healing
治愈.
effect. Yes, very
Okay,
comforting. Soothing. Yes.
Okay.
我喜欢做饭也是因为这个，认真烹饪的时候，仿佛所有的烦恼都消失了。认真切菜备料，然后煎炒烹炸，太解压了。
All right, so that's why I like cooking. When cooking carefully, it seems that all of my troubles have disappeared. I carefully cut vegetables and prepare the ingredients and then use all kinds of different cooking methods. It's a good way for me to relieve stress. 我喜欢做饭. This is I like cooking. 也是, so this is kind of like also, right?
Yeah,
Or that's why. 因为 is because.
because that's why.
这个, so
这个
this.
this.
认真. So this is like serious.
认真 can mean a lot of things. It can mean serious. In this sense, it means concentrate.
Okay.
So 认真, we would also translate it as carefully. Carefully do something. And 认真烹饪 would mean when you're concentrating on your cooking, when you're putting all of your focus and energy into it, you're doing it very carefully, you're doing it seriously, you're concentrating. 认真烹饪, we've talked about it.
烹饪,
That's
this
cooking.
is another way of saying cooking.
Yes, that's a relatively sophisticated way. 烹饪.
的时候, isn't this when?
It's when. So when you're cooking very seriously, putting a lot of your concentration in, not thinking about anything else, when you're in the zone.
Okay. So then, and then 仿佛. This
仿
is
佛.
as if.
As if it seems it's like 仿佛.
Okay. And 所有.
所有.
This is all.
All.
And
Yep.
then the, so all of something, right? 烦恼.
Perfect. 烦恼.
And this means like some things that bother you or annoy you.
Yes, perfectly. Because 烦 would be things that make you feel
烦错了.
烦死我了. Yes, it's just very troubling. And 恼 is annoying. So 烦恼 put together would be the things that makes you basically unhappy.
Okay.
烦恼.
And then do, this is more, right?
All.
Or all.
Oh, actually, the pronunciations between do and do are quite similar. It's just if you look at the pinyin here, so de, wo, do, so d,
D-U-O.
d-u-o, do, so the u is in front of o,
Yeah.
that would be more.
More.
Or
okay.
many. And if it's d-o-u, do means all or both.
Okay. And then 消失. So 消失, I think that's something getting smaller and smaller, right? So
Disappear. No, 小 is small, but 消失 similar pronunciation, different character, but 消失 together means vanish.
Oh, so this is a verb because there's a l at the end of it, right? So 消失, so disappeared.
Disappear. So 消 means to be eliminated, and 失 means to lost, to disappear together. Disappear, vanish, 消失.
Okay.
所有的烦恼都消失了. There's no trouble in the world anymore.
And then next sentence we have
认真切菜备料. We have 认真 already in the previous part, so that's concentrating on or doing something very carefully. 切菜.
切菜, this is, well, 菜 is vegetables, right?
Yeah.
And then 切 is cut.
切 is cut. Actually, in English, you have, for example, slice or dice. So when you slice, the final results would be really thin slices. And when you dice, there will be little cubes, right?
Yeah.
And in Chinese, we use the word 切 cut. And if you're slicing, you're 切片.
Okay.
So the 片 would be the slice. And if you're dicing, we would say 切丁.
切丁.
丁.
Ding.
Yes, 切丁. Ding would be the dice, the cube.
Okay.
So you use the verb 切 and plus the result of the shape of the final product to say these things.
Okay.
So 切菜 would be cut the vegetables into the shape that you want.
Okay.
备料.
备料. So this is like the preparation or preparing ingredients.
Yes. 备准备 we know it's get ready or prepare. 准备料材料 is the ingredient. So the raw
so
ingredient.
Ready the
food.
ingredients.
Yes.
And then 然后.
然后 and then.
And then 煎炒烹炸.
Perfect. 煎炒烹炸.
That's another expression. I think that's related to the way that it's cooked, right?
Yes, actually it's a Chinese idiom already. Every character has its own meanings. So 煎 means to pan-fried. 炒 means to stir-fried. 烹 is to heat, and 炸 is to deep-fried. But people nowadays don't use them separately so much. We perhaps still use 煎炒 and 炸 more often, but putting together 煎炒烹炸 represents all the different cooking methods. So you would say 看那个大师傅煎炒烹炸什么都会. So it's saying that he knows everything. He knows all the cooking methods. So it becomes a representation of all the cooking methods, especially the Chinese ones.
I see.
煎炒烹炸.
And then 太解压.
太解压了.
So 太 again is to or very. And then 解压.
解压.
This is relieving or soothing to the body or something.
Yes. So 解消解解除 means to eliminate, and 压 carries the meaning 压力. 压力 would be your pressure. So pressure relieving, soothing.
Pressure.
Yeah. 太解压了. That's the idea.
Oh.
In this conversation, we have a lot of unusual expressions. When saying unusual, I mean, for example, 软乎乎香喷喷. We use the ABB kind of structure for the sentences to, like you said, make it a little bit cuter and a little more vivid. And also 煎炒烹炸, the characters themselves each have their meanings. Yet putting together, they're more like a representation of things. It's like you give a short list of things to talk about the list. Though we would say that it's relatively unusual in daily conversations. It's just because we didn't touch the subject of cooking so much, so now we're talking about them.
Okay.
So let's try the conversation.
Okay, you go first.
你喜欢做饭吗？
一般般，不是特别喜欢，但是我喜欢烘焙。软乎乎、香喷喷、刚出炉的小面包太治愈了。
我喜欢做饭也是因为这个。认真烹饪的时候，仿佛所有的烦恼都消失了。认真切菜、备料，然后煎炒烹炸，太解压了。 You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niuniu and Tony. Hopefully, not only cooking can make you feel soothing and happy, Takeaway Chinese can serve the same purpose. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's continue learning and talking about cooking, especially cooking Chinese cuisine. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese with Niuniu and Tony. So, Tony, are you familiar with Chinese-style cooking?
Not necessarily the cooking techniques, but certain dishes. I have a couple of favorites, I guess.
So, are you familiar with these different words? I think on top of 煎炒烹炸, we mentioned in our conversation earlier, there's also 蒸煮炖.
蒸煮
炖.
Yeah,
they mean different things. So 蒸 means to steam. We say 蒸包子 to steam the meaty buns, the bigger steamed dumplings.
饺子, right?
包子. 饺子 is
包子.
dumpling, yes, but 蒸包子. So you would 煮饺子 and 蒸包子. 煮 is to boil, and 蒸 is to steam. So steamed dumpling would be a 包子. 煮, we've talked about it, boil or poach. And 炖. 炖 is to simmer.
Simmer.
So 炖 I think happened, or stew would also be 炖.
Yeah, I simmer my vegetables actually, but for a very short period of time, just to get the color to change to a bright color, and then I turn it off.
So 煎炒烹炸蒸煮炖. 煎 pan fry, 炒 stir fry, 烹 salted, 炸 deep fried, 蒸 steam, 煮 poach, and 炖 simmer. All these different techniques. Sometimes I feel like when I cook, I don't exhaust all of them.
Oh, no way. Sometimes it takes a lot of oil. For example, if you're frying something, you need a lot of oil. You need to have the right pot that goes deep enough to where you can deep fry, and yeah, some people don't have a big oven, so they can't utilize like broiling and some of this other stuff. So depends on what you have in your kitchen.
But I have to admit, not all of these different methods are quite healthy in today's sense, especially for you, someone who, have a very healthy diet. For example, what's the last time that you resort to the method deep fry?
Oh, wow. I don't remember. I don't think I've ever deep fried anything. I've normally gone out to buy it and eat it at restaurants, but it's been a long time. I mean, I haven't eaten meat in a few years, but when I was eating fish, sometimes like you batter it.
Chips.
Yeah, you batter it in a certain floury ingredient, and then you fry it, and it becomes crunchy on the outside and obviously chewy on the inside. I'm so hungry right now. So it's just, and I still have my cravings for meat, but I haven't buckled since I went on this vegan or vegetarian path.
That's very respectful of you. Really, but I think after a while, perhaps when you finally gave in to that, you will find meat not as delicious anymore because of that period. So
I've seen too many documentaries, so I'm done. I'm done with it.
The temptation is not as strong as you are imagining now. Don't imagine them anymore.
I'm not just hungry. Good. Everything sounds delicious right now because I'm hungry.
But since you are a really good chef and baker, apparently, do you enjoy cooking? And why do you think cooking is do you think cooking is stress relieving?
Yeah, I think so, because if I cook over the weekend what I'm going to eat during the week, then it means that it's less of a headache for me during the week. I don't have to prepare it. For example, if I bake cookies or a bread that I can slowly eat throughout the week, that I don't have to worry about it in the morning. So that's kind of nice. And I think food is a life-giving substance. If you prepare it the right way and if you're eating the right stuff, then it will prolong your life and preserve your youth. But if you're eating garbage food, I like to call it, then it makes you older, it gives you problems, and your appearance won't be as nice.
That is a very specific reason, I would say.
Yes,
But
I'm
I
very
also-
functional when I cook.
But some of my friends really enjoy cooking and baking, and they would say that the reason that they enjoy baking so much, there are two major reasons. One is that 他们很喜欢分享. They love sharing. They would share the final product, and people would praise.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. Every
would
now
say,
and then
wow,
it's nice.
this is so delicious. 也太好吃了吧? People, well, the baker would be happy. That's
Yeah.
for sure a good reason. And another reason would be because when you're eating, you're tasting it. So 你可以尝到味道, you're tasting the taste of your food. But when you're cooking, especially when you're baking, you can also give your nose a treat. You can smell the very nice fragrance. And people say because the little molecules actually goes directly into your nose and into your brain, it can even give you a stronger sense of happiness directly.
Of course, because you know that you're doing something right. The food's going to taste good. You're not wasting your time, right? You spend all that time baking and mixing things and putting things together, and it smells awful. Then
That's just not
then
good.
you're really upset because you
You're
wasted
upset,
you wasted
yeah.
time, you wasted your money, all the kinds of things.
And you know, our senses would trigger us, thinking about different memories. And cooking sometimes would allow you to, be immersed in a memory of your cook. It can be a little bit therapeutic, thinking about your grandma's cooking, thinking about a little store from hometown, a little bakery. It just gives you that piece of quiet and happiness when you're cooking.
Sure, it depends on your background. If you're from a place where you get a lot of home cooked meals and they use different herbs in different places that are specific to where you're from, then yes, I think your olfactory senses will, give you a sense of nostalgia, which is also really nice.
For me, I always think Chinese people put a lot of stress on what they eat, and sometimes, well, there are different sayings in Chinese. We would say 民以食为天.
Okay.
That means literally, people regard their food as sky or heaven. So it's like saying food is the top priority in one's life.
Okay.
It's not quite literal, but it's just like saying it has a very important status, what you eat. And I think there's the you are what you eat.
Yeah, sure. If you eat a lot of garbage, then yeah, it says a lot about the kind of person that you are.
Really?
Yes.
Huh, that's an interesting one. And
You are what you eat. That's right. You eat junk food, then you probably it clouds your thoughts, and you probably have junky thoughts too. Junky habits,
That is-
junky look.
we can discuss about that a little bit, more later. But there's also an idea that baking, because I'm not a baker, so I want to ask you. People believe baking can be creative, 有创造性 creativity, 创造性, because you're
创造性.
Yes, 创造性. You're not always following the recipe. Sometimes you would do a little bit experiment because your oven can be a little bit different. You're not using the exact ingredient in the recipe, and also you want it to be a little bit sweeter or less sweet. You want it to be healthier. Well, there are a lot of things you want to do with your own hands, and you want to be creative. Is that so?
Absolutely. And I have a background in baking. I grew up baking cookies because I used to sell them with my grandfather when I was younger.
Oh, that's very sweet.
But as I got older, I continue to bake, and obviously shifting my diet to, veganism, I have to improvise and put a lot of things in there and get creative and hope that it's going to turn out okay. So yes, there is this creative element, and then there's people who can put different shapes on their pastries and do all kinds of different things. So yes, there's art in it, and it can be very enjoyable if it turns out okay. If it doesn't turn out okay, I'm telling you, it can be really disheartening.
那你有自己的菜谱吗? Do you have your own recipe? Did you create your own recipe? 菜谱 recipe, by the way.
菜谱,
yes. Did you?
我有我的菜谱.
Oh, really?
对.
Is it a pastry or a dish?
Pretty much the cookies that I bake every week are, I don't have I didn't go anywhere to get them. I just kind of made them up based off of the materials that I like to eat, that I agree with, and just improvise something and then tried it out. And sometimes they're good and sometimes not so good.
Well, That's really nice.
I've been lucky recently, so yeah, it's been a positive experience.
That's really interesting. I think I should shift my hobbies into cooking a little bit more.
I think you should too.
Be creative and...
You might have a few more years left on this life.
Now you're making me feel bad about ordering out.
Yeah, really? Good. That was the whole point, actually.
All right. I will eat healthier and I will try to be a chef. But there are, different chefs. For example, my mom is the kind of chef that cook homemade food, comfort food. But there are also people
You said
who...
homemade food or comfort food? Because that's different.
Comfort food.
Okay, so that's like your
Not very
really
fancy.
fatty, delicious, sweet stuff. That's comfort food. Comfort
No.
food
I
makes you
think different
feel-
people have different comfort food.
Okay.
They don't have to be super fatty or oily. It can
Okay.
be a little bowl of soup.
Okay.
It just makes you happy. It's just not that fancy that's out of a restaurant or looks very extravagant kind of food. That's what I'm talking about.
Most people's comfort food is something that's really delicious, savory or sweet or packs on the pounds. This is what most people consider comfort
not
food.
for me.
Even ice cream is considered a comfort food.
Not for me. But what I'm trying to say is my mom is that kind of chef. There are other moms, they would strive to be as sophisticated and professional as a chef in a restaurant.
It's a
Very
lifestyle.
presentable kind of food. So which
Yeah.
one would you prefer?
You mean the food that's really aesthetic?
Yeah.
Well, that's another art. That's a different level. I'm not really at that point yet. I just want to make sure my food is healthy and it tastes good. And then later I'll get to the point where it starts to look really pretty and you start putting garnish on the plate and all of that. And people take pictures. And I don't really get to that. I'm not at that level yet. But you have to be careful. This is a way of life. And
It's a
like
rabbit hole you're going to fall in.
Yes, and once you get, because even let's start with something like as simple as the oil that you cook. There are most of the oils that we cook with, they have something called smoking points. And if
Yes.
you cook with them at certain temperatures, which most of us have no knowledge of, you're actually making the oil bad for your health.
Yes.
And so when you eat the food, it's actually not as good as it's as advertised. So there's some oils that you can't cook with. And so that's something else that's a little bit frustrating. And if you want to get into this world of cooking, you have to find out which oils to cook with. And they may not be the ones that taste as good as the ones that you're used to.
And that is why in Chinese we would say 餐饮文化.
餐饮?
餐饮. It's basically a fancy way of saying food. 文化 culture.
Food culture.
Food culture. It is a sea that is vast, and if you jump in and learn to swim, you're going to enjoy it. But just make sure you're safe and don't drown.
Yeah, I think so. That's a really good analogy, actually.
And hopefully one day all of my friends would say 我爱烹饪, so I would go and eat the food they cook.
我爱烹饪.
And that would
So
be
I love cooking,
happy.
right?
Yeah. That brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu with Tony here in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at chinaplus.cri.cn and go to the column podcast.
You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and much more. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. And don't forget to leave your comments, ratings, and questions.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
再见.